Ultrakill's pretty damn good. At the time of the initial release of the prelude to this game, I saw it floating around my Twitter timeline and thought to myself, that looks pretty nice, should try it out. And then I forgot about it for 2 years. And I recently started seeing it pop up on my timeline again. Apparently I had missed an entire act. Act 2 was releasing and I thought to myself, man, I have been doing myself a disservice by not playing this game. And so I bought it and almost finished it in one sitting. Long story short, the game is really, really good. Ultrakill is a fast-paced movement FPS boomer shooter run and gun. I don't know what the name of the genre is, but whatever it is, that's what it is. It follows the adventures of a robot named V1, powered by the blood of man, was run out of fuel on the surface due to the death of mankind. He takes his grievances to the center of hell to make a formal complaint about the complete lack of fuel on the surface. Luckily enough, hell itself is full of various bleeding souls that are just itching to return the robotic scourge to the scrap heap. Sure, there's an underlying story here about the validity, praise, the fall, but all that kind of takes a backseat to the gameplay. Movement shooters like this can really be split and judged into their two most important parts, the movement and the shooting, hence the name of the genre. Ultrakill has so many movement options that blend perfectly into each other. Control of your character is tight and responsive where it counts, but the game also allows for maneuvers that are faster and cover much more ground, but may leave you at the mercy of the game's physics. You've got your tighter options, like your dash, walking around, and your initial jump. They are quick and easy ways to get around the level and avoid a little bit of damage, while other options such as sliding, a variety of explosive boosts, and dash jumping really get the speed going. In short, the movement is excellent, and the shooting is even better. Every gun in this game is a blast to use. Finding the critical hits with the revolver, tearing apart enemies with the shotgun, the nail gun just creates Swiss cheese, the rocket launcher it's a rocket launcher, and the Omega Ion Cannon is just incredible in general. But the best weapon in the game by far is the magic coin. The magic coin is attached to the marksman revolver. You use your alternate fire to flick a coin in the air, and if you can manage to hit it with any kind of hit scan weapon, it bounces off the coin and immediately homes in onto the nearest target weak spot. Of course, there's a little bit more to the target priority than that, but to keep it simple, you throw the coin in the air, shoot it, and then it automatically directs itself to a critical spot on the nearest enemy. This weapon is by far the best and most stylish weapon in the game, even if I found difficulty actually hitting the damn coin at times. Now, the magic coin is not exactly a new concept by any means, but Ultrakill's take on the idea is my favorite interpretation in forever. Nothing in this game really comes close to the feeling of finding the shot on that tiny coin and dealing 1,000,000 damage because of it. It's a bit of a punishing game, but it's nothing that can't be handled with a bit of effort. The game does include difficulty settings, which is good because everyone deserves to play at the power fantasy offered by being an unstoppable force of robotic death and endless healing. One thing this game does correctly that I love to preach about is meaningful difficulty settings. In many games, increasing the difficulty simply increases the opponent's numbers, or decreases your own numbers, or both. And I dislike this. It's an artificial difficulty that really only serves to force you to do the same task the same way, only without making as many mistakes, or just by straight up making the task take longer. You can look to Halo for a perfect example of both of these kinds of difficulties. The standard settings are more artificial, making the enemies do more damage and also have more health, while the unique challenges encountered by equipping the skulls provides a more meaningful difficulty, at times forcing you to change the way you even approach the game. Ultrakill's difficulty is an example of this done correctly, in my opinion. All the numbers remain the same, so you still do a ton of damage and the enemies can kill you just as easily across all difficulties. In the higher difficulties, the speed of enemies and projectiles increases to present more of a challenge. The game makes it harder to avoid the damage, but it's all still the same damage. In addition to this, there are some attack patterns by bosses and some higher level enemies that are locked behind the harder difficulties, and similarly, some attack patterns are straight up taken away in the easier difficulties. To me, this is better, especially in a game like this where usually lower difficulties leads to playing an entirely different game where you're just an unkillable bullet sponge that one-shots everything in the game from a stationary position. Here, everyone's playing the same game. The attacks may be easier to dodge to give players more room to play, but at the end of the day, it's all the same. And I think that's good. Speaking at a surface level, the game's pretty simple. Point, shoot, don't get hit. And if you do get hit, the game forces you to enter combat in order to heal. Dealing damage to an enemy causes them to bleed, and if you're close enough to them while they're bleeding, the blood gets on you and repairs your body, or something like that. The point is, you have to be in close combat in order to heal. This keeps the action going, forcing you to constantly get involved into fights at close range instead of backing off and waiting to heal. But as soon as you start to dig deeper, you realize that there's an insane amount of real technical skill that can be applied to this game. After my initial run through, I decided to look into any speedruns of the game, and I expected, optimized movement, quick draw shooting, routed paths, and that's about what I got from the any percent categories. But then I happened upon P%, which involves achieving a perfect score, which is an S in all 3 categories with no deaths, on every single level as fast as possible. This forces runners to play out every fight in every level, which means it's a very good showcase for how to play the game at the highest level. One runner in particular also featured explanations and tutorials on his channel on some of those higher level techniques, alongside a few of his runs. As I watched these videos, I realized just how deep the game goes. I had already discovered a couple things on my own, like the bullet punch and the railgun coin, but I had no idea just how deep the rabbit hole of it went. From coin splitting to slam storage, tactical nukes, the JFK special, there's a lot to this game, and most of it's intentional. But none of the complex stuff is really required to play. To me, that's the beauty of these mechanics, is that the game is incredibly simple if you need it to be, but incredibly complex if you want it to be. All in all, this is a very good game. It plays very well, it's incredibly fun, and the music is banging. It's an incredible blast all the way through, and will challenge you and present you with new situations to deal with. Easily worth the money and time. I do appreciate you guys watching. Please share with your friends. If you'd like to see a much more chaotic take on this video game, I will direct you to this video right here that hopefully will show up in the end card right at where my finger is pointing. And if you want some more stuff, another review's right here, and then some more stuff is going to be like down here or some shit. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.